So you guys able to see my screen, right?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. So today we're going to discuss about the OAF, so Oracle Application Framework. So and also about the Java developer. So today's agenda would be like a basic introduction to Oracle Application Framework along with the J developer setup for the WCB. So firstly, actually, this OAF framework is developed by the Oracle Corporation for application development within the e-business suite. So using this, we can create a new OA pages. We can personalize the OA pages and customize it, and we can develop a new custom applications. So this is basically built on J2EE platform. So and it works with the MVC framework model. So we already have a form. So why there is a need of OA pages, right? So basically there are a few shortcomings when compared to the forms. So generally these forms are very heavyweight and takes time to open, whereas OA pages opens very quickly. And when it comes to look and feel as well. So when compared to forms, OAF pages are very good. And the another shortcoming is like you cannot open Oracle forms in mobile or tablets, whereas OAF pages can be opened from devices, mobile devices, and the tablets. So both works on client-server architecture, except that OAF is built on MVC model. So when you see forms, actually these fields and buttons and everything are developed under the blocks. So we divide into blocks, and then we generally add fields, buttons, and other components. So whereas in OAF there are regions. So in regions we create the fields, buttons, and other components. So this actually picture depicts the MVC pattern. So it actually runs through MVC like view, controller, and model. So basically view is nothing but the page which you see. So that has all the components of the page. So whenever the user performs any action on the page, so that actions will be handled using controller. So each page have its own controller, which is co.java, wherein it has the basic Java programming to capture the actions performed on the UI. So once this is done, so we have a model as well, wherein we write the business logic. So even model has a few components that I'm going to explain you later. But for now, the model actually holds and encapsulates the business components, wherein we write the business logic, and also it takes care of handling the database as well. So it takes control of the database as well. So this is actually a complete MVC, which actually tells you what model holds. So model holds a few components like EO, VO, and AM. So these actually encapsulates the data, and we call it as business components for Java, which is BC4J. So and we have a view. It's an user interface built on Oracle technology called UIX. So XML, you can if you create a page, it will be shown as an XML in the OAF page. Later that XML will convert into HTML UI by the server. So the controller, as I said, holds the code to handle the user actions on the HTML page. So here you can see the HTML page, a sample page, wherein whenever a user performs any action, the HTML request will get triggered. So that request will take, the controller will take the control of it. So it will capture the actions performed on it. So if there is any requirement, then it will, then it will goes to model, and the model will return the response to the HTML UI. This actually picture shows you the actual control which is happening from the HTML page to the database. So the HTTP request will request will trigger. This is kind of view. HTML page is nothing but a view in MVC. And then controller. This controller captures that particular event. And that event, if it requires any data, if it want to pull any data, then it takes the control of the AM, and AM will have the VO, and VO will get the data from the database, and will return it to the HTML page as an HTTP response. So as I said, we have three components, especially in model. So one is EO, and another is VO and application module. So we'll discuss about EO first. So EO is actually entity object. So it holds the database table. So once we create an EO on any other table, so we can perform DML operations on it. So directly from the page. I mean, it has been built features wherein once the EO holds the table, so it can do any kind of manipulations to that table through the HTML UI. There is no need of writing any code and all. So it has inbuilt functionality given with some buttons like update, insert and all. So it will by default do the manipulations in the database for that particular table. So we have a VO, which is nothing but the view object. So this basically holds the SQL query. So if we wanted to show any data on the table, I mean, if we wanted to show any data on the HTML UI, so this is the only way wherein we write what we need to show the data, like it's like query. So the query will fetch the data from the database, and that data is shown on the HTML UI. Basically, this VO holds the query which we wanted to show on the HTML UI. So based on that, we can create VO in two ways. One is SQL based VO, wherein we just provide the SQL query to the VO. So while loading the page, the VO gets executed and the query will fetch the result and can be shown on the UI. And another is like we can create EO based VO, meaning like I said, EOs are mainly used to do manipulations. So instead of giving a query, we can give a EO to the VO so that we can manipulate the database records. So all the like EOs and VOs, whichever we create for a particular project, all this will be, the AM will be holding it. So once we create the VO, it should be attached to the AM, so that like I said, the control flows sequentially in a onion model that I'll show you later. So basically, one thing we need to remember is that whatever we create, VO or EO, it should be added to the AM. So we have one AM for each project or a page. So that AM needs to be attached to the page in order to run the OA pages. So it's a root application module. Each page needs to have it. So this takes care of controlling the transactions. So the later part comes the view. So in the view, we can define fields. Like we have many fields like input text field, choice field, LOV fields. All these are like in the OAF are given to us like a beans. So all these are beans, and each bean has the class. So in order to manipulate, or in order to take control of this any specific bean, we can use classes specific to that bean in this controller. So like view is that HTML UI wherein we generally create the beans, which are normally a Java beans. So no matter what field it is, like input text field, LOV field, all these are given to us with the Java widgets. So these objects are used to create HTML at runtime. Once we create a page, each page has this field. So for us in Java developer, it will be shown in the XML format. But again, at runtime, these XMLs will convert into beans, and these beans will convert into an HTML UI at runtime by the server. So we have regions. So once we create the page, we need to create a regions. So the regions will hold all these buttons, fields, and images, headers, and all other regions as well. So the top level region is like page layout. So each page will have a top level region with the region type as page layout. So under it, you can create so many regions wherein you wanted to create and put some fields over it or buttons over it. So the controller, see, controller is a normal co.java file wherein it handles the UI. I mean, it handles the actions performed by the user on the UI. So models like EO and VO can't have access directly from the controller because except EAM. So once if we wanted to do something with the Vivo or wanted to show something on the UI through Vivo, which has the SQL query, first we need to get access to the application module. So once we get the access to the application module, which holds the EVO and VIVO, then we can take the control of VIVO as well to execute the VIVO so that the data will populate on the UI. So in Oracle applications, in order to connect with the database, we generally use OADB transaction class, which is nothing but an encapsulation of JDBC connection. So with the combination of OADB transaction class and some prepared statements or callable statements, we can either call PLS API or just run the SQL statement through this particular Java classes. So as I said, in this particular onion layout, so all these are objects. So these are business components for Java: entity object, view object, and application module. So each layer knows only about the layer below it. So the controller doesn't know anything about the DB. Application module doesn't know anything about the DB, but view object and entity object does. So in order to pull in the data from database, either from AO, I mean CO or AM application module. So we need to dig down, like take control of application module first, and then from application module take control of view object, and then we can take control of DB and pull in the data whichever we needed. So this is another picture which will tell you how the control flows completely from the UI till the VO. So first UI sends the control to the CO, and CO will take care of AM, and AM, using AM we'll try to take handle of VO, and then we can execute the VO. So after executing, the results will flow back till the UI, and you can see the results on the UI. So since it's a simple Java programming, but still all the features related to OOPs and whatever we use in the Java is the similar. It's just that it actually supports all this abstraction, inheritance, polymorphism, and whatever it is, the variables, methods, all are similar to Java, except that it has a framework related classes. So the framework related classes are nothing but the field classes. I mean, the web beans are like using that web beans, I mean, each field is a web bean, and that web bean will be a having a specific class. So when if we wanted to take control of that particular field, so it should be having a class, and then you can create a object to that particular class to handle that field. So basically, so once we create the page and it's a controller or AM, whatever it may be, so these will be stored in JDR tables. So we don't need to dig deeper into it, but just need to remember that all these are stored in the JDR tables. So whenever we load the page, so the metadata service is actually available as a service. So whenever we load the page, so the server pulls in the XML files, the CO files which are present in the MDS to serve the user, whoever is requesting that particular page. So these are the JDR tables where XML and other related objects are stored. So these will be converted, like XML will be converted to HTML UI using the server by pulling the data from the JDR tables. So how the OAF page is rendered, like, so for example, OAF framework requests a page. So page definition from the MDS. MDS is nothing but those tables wherein the actual objects are getting stored. So MDS engine returns an XML file to OAF frameworks. So later, the nodes and components of XML will be converted to beans, and these beans will be converted to its respective classes, and the HTML UI will get rendered. So before rendering a page, the actual method which is going to execute in the CO is process request. So if we wanted to show something on rendering the page, like if we wanted to show some table data uh, while loading the page itself, once a user enters the page and he wanted to see some data, so for that particular requirement, we just write the code in process request. This method in controller will executed as soon as the page gets loaded. So there is another method called process form request, which is actually a method which takes care of user interactions. Meaning when a user performed any action, we have a method in controller called process form request, which will get triggered for any events performed by the user. Okay, if you have any doubts till now, you can please ask me. Otherwise, we can go and set up Java developer for WCB project. Okay, shall we go ahead and do a setup for WCB in anybody? Hello, is anyone?
Yes, Praneeth, I think we can go ahead.
Okay. Okay, thank you. So before that, I want to show you the page navigation and how the page gonna look like for HTML WCB. So the navigation is warehouse manager.
Praneeth, a small question before it gets opened. Are there any other where we generally have a look at?
Sorry, Sudhir, I didn't hear you. What was the question?
Are there any other pages other than warehouse control board that we generally any other OAF page related to WMS?
Okay, so this is one project named WCB. There are some YMS pages and WMS pages, RCV pages. So based on some requirement, you need to pull in the code base and then set up a Java developer so that you can work on it. Okay, this is just we take generally ownership of WCB. So I think that's why we are just setting up the Java developer for it. For example, if you have any customer bug, if they are facing any issue in YMS or in some INV pages, So the setup will be different. Like we need to pull in the INV code and then set up the Java developer for it.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. Thanks.
Yeah. So the warehouse manager, query and task management. This is the OAF page for the WCP. So here we give the organization for which we wanted to open the WCB. So as soon as we click on apply, so either it would lead us to infotile page if there are any infotiles configured, or it will navigate us to the advanced search page. So I'll tell you what infotile is. So here we can understand that it actually landed us on the advanced search page. So if there are any infotiles configured, it would have sent us to the infotile page. So infotiles are nothing but the saved searches. We can also have the saved searches even in forms. So for example, if we wanted to show any particular saved task, like if you wanted to show outbound and pending queued, and if you wanted to see this particular result on the infotile, we can configure it using save as new. So here we need to give the infotile name like pending so click on show as infotile, save and view results. So it will show us the outbound pending tasks. So we'll now just go to home. Maybe it is taking. So we'll open the WCP page again and now see the behavior once we saved the infotile. So after clicking apply, so we have landed on the infotile page. So now you can observe that once we have any saved searches which are nothing but an infotiles, so as soon as we click on the organization, it will land us on the infotile pages. So for now we can only create 20 infotiles. So there is no creation allowed after 20 because of some performance issues. So this is the infotile page. So if we wanted to search for some other things, then we can go to advanced search page, wherein we created the saved searches. So this is the advanced search page. So for example, if you get any issues particular to any field, so all these are fields. So page this is the complete page, wherein the top region will be page layout region, which is nothing but starting from here. And later you can create the other regions like row layout, or column layouts and all those things to append these particular fields on those regions. So if you wanted to query about this particular page, there is a about this page link below this page. So once you click on that particular link, so it will generally tell us about the page, like what are the pg.xmls, what controller has been used for this particular page, and what are the AMs, and what are the VOs involved in it. So this information can be tracked from the link. So this is the page, WCB search page, and having the version. And if you can expand all, so this is the COs and the AM related to that particular page. So the VOs involved here. So you generally get all the components which are used in this particular search page. Okay. So now we go and set up a code base for the WCB. So firstly, you need to log into your Linux session wherein you do the arcs out and arcs in. So this is my home directory. So you'll be having your own home directories in the Linux sessions. So in the home and this user ID, we need to create this Jdev home. So basically, I have created already. I'll just show you that. We need to create this directory Jdev home. So under your home directory, just create the Jdev home. So this will be home for all your enhancements, or all for the things you wanted to do, or if there is an ER. So I'll just do ls and c. So these are workspaces. So basically, the Jdev home will be home for all your workspaces. For example, I did an ER. I can create a directory with ER name so that I can work on it. So this is one kind of workspace. Then if I wanted to work on WCB, then we have a WCB code base in this particular directory. So I can work on it. So specific to your requirement, if there is any bug, you can create some sample workspace like demo and pull in the code, pull in the pg.xml or whatever the object which has issues in it. So you can create the workspace. So all these are workspaces under Jdev home directory. So we'll create a new workspace for the WCB. Anyways, I have this WCB workspace, but we'll try to create a new one to see how that can be done. So first we have created the Jdev home. So later we need to create our own workspace name. Let's say I wanted to create a workspace name demo1. Okay. So I'll go to that directory. And you need to create another folder name, my projects. This name should be an exact one. The my projects directory name should be an exact one. So do cd. So I just wanted to show you again why we are doing this. I mean, so for example, take any page. and do a check for it. So for example, if you have any issues with this particular file, so it is residing in this particular directories, so we can see that it is in WMS product and in WCB project, and under it there is a search sub project and web UI and this page. So for example, so the path should be an exact path while we are creating the workspace as well. So we need to copy this particular file in a place where it should be similar to this path. So that's why we are creating it. But there are few things. You need to create it. That is few directories in which you needed to place. I'll explain you later. These are like standard one, like for each and every project. These directories needs to be in place in order to run the OA framework pages correctly on the Java developer. So we'll create this directory. I'll explain you. WMS. Now see this particular path. So this is our home directory under which we have created the Jdeveloper home. So this should be an home for all your workspaces. So I have created the workspace name demo1. So under it I created my projects. So under it I created my projects. So from here I needed to create the exact path of the file which we have seen here. Meaning we have created the product ID related to this particular page, which is WMS. I have created the WMS, and then we needed to now we need to pull in the code of this particular project, WCB. Okay. So we are currently under this directory. So we need to run the copy command. So before that, I'll show you from where we can get these files. So this is IMW4D2210. I have just connected to the instance. So I'll cd to WMS stop. So if you query this, so if you query this, we have MDS and Java files. Basically, see, so we need to copy using these commands. I am going to share this Confluence page with you, which will tell you how to set up a workspace when you work on it. So basically we are done with this particular step, and we need to run this copy commands in order to pull in the code for WCB project. So basically we have in this WMS stop, we have MDS and Java folders. So MDS folder will hold all the PG and XML files. So and Java folder will have all the COs and AMVOs, all the Java files. So we need to run these two commands in order to pull both our pg.xmls and from the MDS folder, and .java class files from the Java folder. So we'll just run. So here you can see after doing the cd to WMS stop, we have MDS and Java. So in this, if you go to the MDS, we have a WCB project over here. Now do WCB. So we have all these subdirectories specific to a search page, specific to results page, and this common directory will hold the org id page where we just entered org id and applied, I mean clicked on applied, right? So those kind of files will be under this, like we have did for the purpose of modularity. So now we'll try to copy the code base so that we can set up the Java developer on it. So we'll run the copy command from WMS top MDS directory. Get this WCB files. Okay, we first need to do the ChenV. So for any changes you wanted to do on any project, try to pull in the code from the latest release. So let's do ChenV from 12 to sometimes the Linux sessions will be an issue, so you need to change your Linux session so that it will work fine. I mean, let's see. Okay, so now we'll go to the I'm in this particular home directory. We'll go to Jdev home demo1, right, where we have created this path, my projects, Oracle apps, WMS. So here we run the copy command. Now we have copied all the XMLs and rn.xml. So we'll try to copy the Java files. Done. So our code base is set up for WCB project. So there is one more thing you need to take care. So when you use this copy command using this WMS top, there are chances that along with the Java files, you may pull in .class files as well. So in order to we need to remove it so that it will not create any issues while running the page from the Java developer. So in order to remove that .class files, we need to run this command, which will search for .class files, and if any exists, it will just remove it. Okay, we'll just run this command, find is it? Find dot name slash dot class type executive. Remove. So we'll just run this command. Okay, it is now just removed all the class files which got copied with this copy command. So now we can check it what got copied. So in the WMS project we are into, so we'll do ls. So we have WCB project got copied, and in the WCB project we have all this result search and ECC common. So when you go to common and see what got copied, so there are servers and web UI. Go to web UI and see there are pg.xmls. So this is the page which gets rendered. Choose org page which gets rendered as soon as you open the WCB, wherein you give the organization ID then and then click apply. So this is the page. Okay, then now the code base has been set up. So we'll try to launch the Java developer, and we'll run the OA application page from there. So there are actually two things which you need to take care while running the while launching the Java developer. So there is a command. I'll tell you. We'll open the new session. So we Jdev bin empty. So just remember this path Jdev bin and NT. So here we have all the builds mentioned over here. So right from 12.13 to 12.11, which is the latest build. So this is the OAF related builds using which you need to open the, you need to launch the Java developer. So the latest build we have is like 12.12x7. So just So the latest we have is 12.11 x7. So we need to take help of this build, which is on the Java developer framework. So in order to launch the Java developer, so we have this command called. So we'll try to launch from the same area wherein we have copied the files. So the command is jdev bin f12 to launch. So this is the launch command, followed by we need to give the build name. So build as I showed you, jdev bin /nt, and this particular build name we have to give. So this build exists in this build exists in this NT path, right? So this path. So the same path we are giving here. So jdev bin NT / followed by the build name. So what is the build name? 12.11 x7. x7 318567779 318567779. So now we have given the build name using which the Java developer will launch. So again, we need to give our specific workspace path so that it will launch our own workspace. For example, we have created the workspace, right, with the demo one. So home directory, Jdev home, and our demo one workspace. So we'll enter. Now it will launch the Java developer. For this particular workspace, demo one, which holds the WCB project.
Praneeth,
Yeah. Yeah, Sudhir.
while launching the Jdev. So, how do we know which one to choose?
So there are so many builds right from 12.13 to 12.11, which is recent. I mean latest build. So if customer is on specific release, let's say customer is on 12.6 release and they are facing some issue with the OAF pages or something like that. So in order to reproduce that particular, you can use the specific build to open the Java developer and try to reproduce from the Java developer. Okay, now we are just using the latest one for this particular demo. What you are
Okay, okay. So we have all the versions of builds.
right. Okay, so now this is the JDeveloper tool. So now we need to set up few things there are two things. One is DBC file we needed if our page wanted some database connectivity to pull in the data on the HTML UI. So we need the DBC file, the first thing. And the next thing is that the class path, we need to set the class path. So why the class path is needed? So the class path is mainly needed if our particular code is depending on some another module, objects. So in that case, it should run fine. So in order to make the execution smooth, so once we give the class path, if there are any dependency with other module files, it will just executes it without any issues. So we'll just try to connect to 12 to 10. So the DPC file for this particular instance will be under FND secure folder. So this is the path. So in the secure folder, so we have this DBC file. This is the mw4d2210.db. So this is the DBC file. We need to give this particular path, exact path on the Java developer along with the DBC file. So one more is that class path. So we can get it from the Java talk. So this is the class path. So these two things we need to give while setting up the Java developer. So we'll create a project, workspace. So workspace configured for Oracle applications. Go with the defaults. Next. So here you need to create the DB connection. Next. On W4D2210. So give the connection name with the name you wanted to. I mean, on the instance in which you are working in. So this is apps login. Give the host name. And next. So you can test the connection here. So it's success. Next. Finish. So we recently created this particular DB connection for the instance MW4D2210. So now it's time to give the DBC file. So there are two things. So this is the DB. I mean, this is the class path. Along for the class path and the DBC file path, we need to append nfs.net before it. nfs.net along with the host name followed by the exact path which we got on the instance. So I'll just show that. So this is the exact class path and this is the exact DBC file path. So before that you need to append nfs these things, nfs net host name, and then give the path. So I'll give nfs net, provide your host name. I'm giving the same path, just one. Honesty apps. So this is the DBC file. So this is the same path, fnd 12 to 12.0 secure. So this is the same path which we have got using the fnd secure. So here give username as fnd and mfg welcome. So the responsibility and the responsibility key for the WMS responsibility is the same WMS. You can give this defaults. Then next, finish. So after this, it will try to deploy all the OAF files since it's the first time, so which are required for running the OAF page. So it will take time.
Hey Praneeth, I have a question.
Yes, Ra.
So you don't download Jdev on your machine locally?
No, Rahul. We can do it, but for this particular changes which we do on the customer files, or if there are any bugs, or if wanted to change the WCB and work on the WCB, so we can just pull in the code from the Linux session using the build we have build. So using that build only we can launch the Java developer.
Okay, thanks.
So generally in locals, we generally don't get the access of using the build. And maybe if we get also, it may create any issues. So it's best to try to do it on the Linux machine only.
Praneeth, these OAF pages are available only in 12.2, right?
Yes, Mike.
Okay, okay. So do we get any customer bugs? I just want to know whether customers are using it or not.
As per Anjana, there are a couple of customers who have uptaken.
Okay.
Uh, so not major, major bugs. We generally don't get it, but we may get it as based on the enhancements
Okay.
has already been done, right? So maybe on that we may get.
Right, right. Okay, okay. And again, one more question what
Yeah.
Rahul Sudhir. So you have picked the particular build, right? So that you were telling that it is the latest build that you are picking.
Mhm.
So when we have to go for a lower version of that, I do not understand.
What was the last question, Mohit? I didn't get your voice.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So basically, you have picked the latest version of Jdev. So you did the ls minus LTR and picked the latest build for
Right, right.
Jdev, right? So when we have to go for a lower build, so that I do not understand.
So, I'll show
Yeah,
you.
yeah. Can you just, yeah, please.
So these are builds related to the each and every release. So for example, if customer is on 12.6, like we have seen the technical components on the page, right? Regarding how, I mean, the page is on which release. We can see from this technology components link. So let me do that. So if the customer is on the bill,
So,
okay.
so when we are talking about build, we are talking about the Jdev build, right? Or the customer release like 12.5, 12.6, 12.7.
Yeah, Mohit, it's a combination actually. For example, since the customer
Okay.
is on the release, like let's say 12.4 or 12.5, so there may be chances that the issue is occurring using the J developer also. I mean, there may be issues with the build as well. So in order to exactly get the issue relating to the customer who is in lower instances or lower releases, we just wanted to take that particular release only while launching the JDev. You got the answer, right?
Okay. Okay. Yeah, one more thing. So for 12 to 5, we saw two more thing, right? Can you go back to the Unix session once?
Okay.
Yeah. Like 12 to 6 DB1, and then there is some number, then 12 to 6 debug 1. So
Mm,
basically for 12 to 6, there could be multiple options here, or there will be only one option. I
OAF,
see couple of things here. So
right. So basically, one which without any debug, right? That actually we need to use it. Your team recommends, because this debug and other things they will be used to debug for their own test purposes.
okay, yeah, thanks, Praneeth.
Yeah, thanks, Rahul. Yeah. So from these technology components, we can see on what release we are using the OAF pages. So this is on 12 to 11, which is the recent one. So that's how we generally see on what release the customer is and try to replicate their issue using the same build.
Okay, okay. So this is the OAF release, right? 12 to 11,
Right, right, Mohit.
R12 to 11 release. Okay, okay, okay. Yeah, got it. So basically, if any customer bugs comes in, then we have things, or maybe in some diagnostic abstract, we'll get to know.
Yeah, correct.
I'm not sure because I have not seen it in the diagnostic abstract. We will need to check with customer directly, or how should we proceed. So have you worked on any customer bug, Praneeth? Like if later, if you could include that information as well, like whenever you give the next session.
Not completely, Mohit, because there are a couple of bugs, customer bugs, but mainly maybe the P3 bugs, which Anjana did not assign to anybody. So those are low priority bugs related to some UI look and feel. So maybe I didn't get a chance, and I should tell that
Okay,
how many bugs are there, so that you can work on.
okay, okay,
Yeah.
okay. Yeah, fine. Just if it is possible to like tell us like how to get that release level detail.
We can ask the customer, or we can take.
Okay, the same thing about page, and then they will give the screenshot and tell us something like that, right?
We can ask for that as well, Mohit.
Okay, okay. Yeah, got it, Praneeth.
So once that is done, so here we can see the hierarchy which we generally created using make directory command. I think it got stuck over. Okay. So the next we need to provide the class path to the project. So right click on the projects, project properties, libraries, then add library, new library. So give a name called Java class path, or whatever you need. So add entry. So again, prefix NFS net prior to the path. I mean class path. So just give me a second. Mm, Okay, then host name WS3260. We'll see the class path. So this is the class path. So after giving the NFS net host name, then we need to give the exact class path U01 EBS one. So after inserting the class path, prefixing with the NFS net and host name, just click on select. No directory ms EPS apps. Sorry. And then just select. Click OK. 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 So both the things are done, like giving the DBC file and setting the class path. So now we are done. So whenever you see this choose or page, which is the landing page, whenever we open the WCB, so here you can debug what are the beans or what are the regions. Like I said, the first region will be page layout region. So just click on each and every bean and see what is the region style. The region style is like page button region. So it has the apply button, and then this region is stack layout. So basically this is an hierarchy where you create the beans or the fields, I could say. So if you query this choose or .pg.xml, so you will be shown as an XML in the IPG. So I'll just try to open the IPG as well. So it will be shown to you as an XML, which will tell you exactly what fields have been, added on the page, like page button bar, and it will be under this particular region. It will be a submit button with an ID apply button. So just these are all the page properties which will be shown in an XML format, and this will be rendered on the page. This will be rendered to you as a HTML UI page by the server. So we'll try to run the page. Right click on the pg.xml, run. So since it's the first time loading of all these code bases, it will take time to compile all the Java classes which have been added to the project. In this area, you can see the compiler log. If there are any issues with the .java files or any other files, it will show the errors in this console. Before it gets compiled, I'll just wanted to show you the field properties. So once you create any button, or if you wanted to show any LOV, so this is the LOV. So item style would be message LOV input. So if you click here, there are so many items from which you can choose on. If you wanted to add some radio buttons, so if you wanted to add some switch buttons, and so all these are like items where you can put it on the HTML UI page. Get stuck. So here you can provide whether this particular LOE is required or not. So can that be made read only, or that can that be disabled? So all these properties you can control right from here or programmatically in the CO. As soon as the compiler compiles all the Java files, the embedded OC4J server will launch. So it will take care of building the Java page. So launching the it will just open the browser along with the page for us. So it will open in very old browser. So we'll try to capture the URL which it is using to open the browser. So try to open it in the new browser, Mozilla Firefox. So this is the link which it will use, 76 and 8989. Maybe I have it, I guess. Where's that? So see, now it is opening in very old IE browser. So we'll just try to close it, and we have taken capture of that link, right? Where is it? So it is 63898. So it won't give us to copy that link as soon as it renders on the console. So better we can. So most of the times it will launch with the same URL. So once you just got the URL on the. So this is the screenshot which I have taken when it is. So this is the URL. So copy. Just write down this URL and try to open it in the new browser. So now we got the landing page. So from here you can try to debug the issue, and the logs will be printed on the console. Here, if you wanted to write any SOPs like system.println, or so in those cases you can just open the controller file. This is the controller file. So if you can open the PG, which is choose or PG. So here we specify the controller which is gonna see. Here we can specify the controller which is going to act whenever the user performs any action on the choose org page. So this will tell us what is the controller file for this particular choose org PG. So we need to give exact path of the controller. So now we got this page will be controlled by the chooser controller. We just open this controller. So here, as I said, so it will be mostly, just a second. So here we write the logic for all the actions. Let's say we have clicked, let's say if we have clicked apply. So what is this apply? Just go and check in the PG. Okay. So this is the apply button. So click on the apply button. We have all the properties. So with the ID apply button, okay. So in order to get the handle of any particular bean, no matter what it is, like a text bean or a button bean or whatever it is, you just try to get control using the page context dot get parameter. So the parameter holds the ID name. So if apply if apply is getting clicked here, if apply is getting clicked, this will render true. I mean, it is not equals to null will get satisfied. And so what we're gonna do once we click this apply button, so we are trying to navigate to the this particular page, which is infotile page. So as soon as apply button is clicked, we'll just try to navigate to the infotile page, which is nothing but the RN page. I'll just try to open it. Which is result. So this is the function related to infotile page. So it has infotile region. This is not the case. So from here, this all code control will happen while loading the page itself. So as soon as we click the apply button, it will just send us, it will navigate us to the infotile page. So in the infotile region.co, so we wanted to check if there are any infotiles by invoking the method in the, so we just write, as I said, we write the business logic in the BC4J components, which are AM, VO, and EOS, right? So the controller just takes the control from the UI and pass what needs to be done to the application module, which is nothing but a component of BC4J model. So we'll try to invoke a method named set infotile flag. So if what it does is that if there it will check if there are any infotiles or not. If not, if it will just forward the control to the WCB search page. Like I said, if there are any infotiles configured, then only we are the control moves to the infotile page. Otherwise, if the tile data is empty, meaning there are no infotiles, then it will navigate us to the search page, advanced search page. So it's all basic valid Java code where you can debug with. So once you know the control, like from controller, there are two methods, as I said. The one is process request method, which actually executes while loading the page. So here we can decide what we need to show to the user as soon as we load it. So once it gets loaded, we have another method, which is process form request. There are only two methods: form request, which will get executed while loading the page, and another method is process form request, which will take the control of the user actions. So we can create events on particular fields. So as soon as that event is triggered, we can write what what we need to do. So we can invoke the methods to the AM. So in AM, let's open an AM. So in web UI, you only get to see pg.xml or rn.xml and co.java files. So all the business components will be under a server folder. So in the server folder, we can see AMs, VOs, and UOs. So web UI only holds this pg.xml and rn.xml co. Okay. So we'll try to open. So when you click on this WCB results AM, there are two more files wherein we'll try to open the am.xml and am.impl.xml. So as I said, whatever the VOs we create, that needs to be under AM. So AM is a container for VO and EO. So this am.xml files tell us what all are the VOs this particular AM is getting holded. So for example, if you wanted to see this remove filter, so what we are doing, so we are just taking the control in the controller file. We are taking the control of the AM object, and using the AM object, we are invoking the method named remove filter. So that you need to search in the impl.java for this particular AM. So this is the method. So here we can take control of the view object. There is a view object named filter VO. So we are just trying to get the control of that particular VO and creating the VO object. And once we get the control of the VO, either we can execute it using execute query or execute VO, or we can remove the row, or whatever we can do programmatically, we do it from the AM. So only the controller files are just to capture the controls. I mean the actions performed on the UI. So all the business logic which encapsulates will be am.impl.java. Okay. So this is how the page works. So if there are any issues, if you find while navigating, you can just give the system.out.println over here, that will be printed in the console. So likewise you can debug any issues. So first we need to get to understand how the control flows. So it's a sequential flowing of controls. That would be easy if you once debug it. So we can either check by placing the pages side by side and see what all the fields which are there in HTML UI, and we can accordingly check the pg.xml by clicking on this. So there are beans. So all these are message style text, and it has an id. Using this id we can take control of this field, and we can get the value from this message style text bean. So whatever the user enters in the text field, by using that this particular id we can get it in the controller. So we can do whatever we want with that particular value which we got from the ui. So in the same way you can check the pg.xml, co.xml, and see how the vivo is. So let us open the vivo. So let's see results vivo. To find out what is there in that particular vivo, we just double click on the vivo. It will open up the window. So this vivo is holding this particular query, which will get run when we search for any source and task types in the wcb. So this is a result vivo which we will be getting in the advanced table along with the results which is fetched by this particular query. So if there are any where clauses which are getting appended, it will be done in the am.x, I mean am.impl.java. So we can append, we can give the bind variable values from the am.impl.java files. So basically dynamically we can handle each and everything using code, or we, if it is a static query, we can just give the static query over here in the vivo, and it will get executed each and every time the html ui will get rendered. Otherwise it will be a dynamical one. So you can give the bind variable values while running. So the query result will fetch the result uniquely each time for each different values. So that's how vivo is. So as I said, the am holds all the vivos. So this is the am root application module. So here this application module holds the this particular vivo object. As I said, application module is a container for vivos and eos. So in order to get the control for vivo, we first need to get the control of controller, and then from controller object get the am object, and from that am object we'll try to handle the vivo, like onion structure as I shown in the picture. So that's what I just wanted to show.
Praneeth, one question. Here the Vivo looks like it's only read only. So how can we applications?
Okay. So first thing you can, whenever you click a particular view over here, so it will show you two files. One is vivo.xml, another is raw impl.java. So for example, if you see here, let's open a page. So the result, so here the result is like so many records, right? Not one particular record. So for each iteration, if we wanted to do any validation, we can do it here, row impl.java. So it has a handle of all the columns which are going to render over here. These are the all the columns. So for each iteration of this record, if we wanted to add some validation, let's say I wanted to show anything on the next record if it is a pending status. So such kind of validations can be done from the row impl. So we can switch it. If it is a pending, show pending icon. If it is an error, show error icon. So these icons will not come from the DB, right? So these can be shown programmatically using this row.impl.java. So here these methods will run. I'll show you the methods. So here, these are the setter and getter methods. So whenever these methods will be executed every time the record is getting fetched. So for each record, these setter and getter methods will be executed. For example, as I said, if we wanted to validate this particular record and show something else depending on some status, then we can do it over here. Let's say the control goes to get 2 LPN. So we can write a program, the logic over here. If the LPN, 2 LPN is this one, we just hide some column, or we just show some column, or we just show any icon. So these things can be done from the row.impl. So the other is XML, vivo.xml. So that is shown through the window, right? For you, where it is like disabled, correct? So I'll just see where it is. Result.vo, right?
Yeah, and my question is basically, can't we modify the Vivo? Because when we open the Vivo, the SQL statement and all, they are
Right. That's what I'm saying. See,
only.
the Vivo, when you double click the Vivo, it will show you the window wherein the query is actually existing. From there, you cannot modify it. We just wanted to click on the Vivo, which we wanted to modify. In our case, it is results Vivo. So here we have all these three objects. Like I said, row.impl will be to handle each and every row which is getting iterated on the page, and the other is vivo.xml, which will be holding the this SQL. So here you can directly modify. Here you can directly modify and save it. It will get reflected on the Vivo. Okay. So this is
Okay.
editable
So
XML.
instead of UI, we modify in the
Right.
text.
Right. So first, initially, when you create the Vivo, it will ask you the query in the window itself. Later on, you can either do it from here or there. Yes.
Okay.
Initially, you do it using wizard. So using that wizard, we provide the query in a wizard window. Later, once we done, creating the Vivo, it will create these three files. One is XML file, another is vivo.impl.java, row.impl.java. So these are two Java files wherein we wanted to add any other logic specific to the records which are getting rendered on the page. Okay.
Yeah, got it.
So that's all I had to explain you about the Oracle application setup and the basics of it. So if you can try from your end, and if you have any doubts, you can ask me. I'll just stop recording it. So in between, if you have any questions, please let me know.